Hey there, everybody. I was just busy checking out what Bitcoin is doing. It's actually been falling this week rather precipitously, which is bad news for El Salvador. That's because on Tuesday, El Salvador made Bitcoin one of their legal official tenders. We're going to be talking about that today. We're also going to be talking about how Bucherer and Vacheron have opened up stores in New York. Plus, Revolve is opening a pop-up for New York Fashion Week. Plus, we're going to be playing the retail challenge. All of that right here and now on everything we know about retail. Well, my name is James Cook, and I'm coming to you from Indiana. And Ebere Anokute is in New York City. What's up, Ebere?
Not much, James. How are you doing?
Well, I think it's going to be a fun show. We've been having technical difficulties, and
Yeah.
the stream to LinkedIn has been going in and out. So, we'll see what happens. If you're a viewer out there watching, let us know what the quality is like right now, and if you can see us. As all of you watching know, this is everything we know about retail. This is the show where we tell all of you everything we know about retail, every single darn thing, but we do it three things at a time. We don't waste time. So, eBay, what do you know about retail?
All right, James, let's get into it. Here is the first thing that we know about retail. So, James, I know you've been to New York a bunch of times, but did you know that 57th Street, the area of 57th Street between Madison Avenue and I believe 6th Avenue or 7th Avenue is called Billionaires Row? Did you know that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So that's like, part of the Plaza District, which is like the upscale shopping district in Midtown Manhattan. Definitely has been a little bit usurped by like Soho and more buzzier areas downtown as far as like where these luxury brands go. But the area, like I said, is called Billionaires Row for a reason, because if you go down that street, you'll see all kinds of luxury high fashion designers, as well as probably the more expensive things, which are the accessories that the people who wear those clothes also wear. So what happened this week is that Tourneau, which is obviously a luxury watchmaker, they had a New York City flagship that they closed down about 2 years ago for renovations, and they just reopened it under a brand new name, which I saw you try to pronounce in the intro. I
How'd I
can't. I
do?
You did fine. I can't say I can do it any better. From what I've read online, it's pronounced Bucherer. Although I'm sure if you and I were French, we would say Boucherer or something like that. But Bucherer 1888 Time Machine is the brand that actually bought Tourneau back in 2018. And so when they reopened the store, they reopened it under that new name. And yeah, it's a brand new flagship on Billionaires Row. 18,000 square feet, right? So pretty large, and they sell a lot of things there, whereas some other places only sell, the watches or jewelry from their own brand. Bucherer in this new flagship is going to sell brands from over 40 different different watchmakers or luxury jewelry designers and things like that. So the brand itself was founded in 1888, and they currently have 35 stores across 6 European countries, but this is their first US location. So it's definitely a big deal. Definitely a beautiful store. I haven't had a chance to check it out just yet, and they haven't really released too many pictures, but I'm sure it's going to be gorgeous. And it's actually not too far from another luxury watchmaker that also just opened a new store on Billionaires Row. Vacheron Constantine, pretty sure it's how it's said. I was telling you before that the only reason I know that is from rap songs, honestly. So until yesterday, I probably would have said Vacheron, but I was watching a Rick Ross Tiny Desk concert, and he said Vacheron, so I think it's Vacheron. But
Yeah, because
they also
he actually has one.
he
So
had one on his wrist in the video, so I trust him. I'm sure he went to the store and they told him how to say it. But they also opened a new store, 4,500 square feet, a two-story flagship on 57th Street, and they only sell their own watches. And I actually have a couple pictures of that new flagship. So here we can see what the outside of the store is going to look like. It's the
Nice.
largest Vacheron Constantin flagship in the world. It actually opened earlier this summer for appointment only clients, but it is now open to the public. They actually just had a big party yesterday to kick off New York Fashion Week and to celebrate the opening of their brand new store. Here's another view of the inside. And they actually used to have a location at 64th and Madison, which is more or less right around the corner from where this one is, up a few blocks, but right around the corner from 57th Street on Madison Avenue. So they're very loyal to the Plaza District. And it looks like this is not going to be the last physical store that they open. The CEO of Vacheron announced that they want to open 3 to 4 more physical locations over the course of the next 3 years in places like London, Tokyo, China. So definitely, expanding aggressively and betting real heavy on the physical storefront, which we obviously love to see. I don't know about you, but I think some people might be a little bit confused as to how, we're in the middle of a pandemic still. People, we're struggling. There are a lot of people, going through unemployment and things like that. So how are these luxury watchmakers, able to expand so aggressively? But actually, luxury items did pretty well during the pandemic. Something that the researchers that in our office in New York have highlighted that kind of differentiates this economic recession from COVID and from the recession in 2008 is the profile of the jobs that were lost, right? So whereas in 2008, the jobs that were lost were a lot of office using jobs like finance, real estate, things like that. This time around, they were a lot more hospitality jobs. So like restaurant workers, hotel workers, things like that. Not to say that any job matters less or anything like that, but it does explain where the money's coming from to sustain the business of these luxury watches. We also saw that the savings rate spiked during the pandemic. I think it's come back down now, but at a certain point, people were saving more than they ever had. And something that we've talked about on this show and, in our research is how retail started to sort of bifurcate. And the luxury and discount retailers are doing a lot better than the mid-price retailers, which started to disappear a little bit. So I think all of those factors kind of contribute to why we're seeing these luxury watchmakers open new stores. And it's, definitely good that these people see the value in the physical storefront and are making it a point to offer things in their store that you can't get online. A lot of the items that they sell can't be purchased online. You have to really make a request to go visit them in person. And that's because they're selling things, from what I saw on the website, they have things upwards of $3.6 million for a pair of earrings, right? I think the cheapest thing I saw was like a $2,000 watch or something like that. So definitely makes sense that, they want to have people come to get them. So yeah, definitely really good news for, brick and mortar retail and for the luxury industry overall. So I'm excited to, visit that one of these days. I know our office is on Madison Avenue down at 42nd Street, so not too far from these places. So I'm going to go and poke my head around in the name of retail, in the name of research is what I'll do. But until
doing
then,
doing retail research at high end stores is a little different because like if it's like a mid price store, a value store, you just roll in with the general public. But if it's like a Prada or something, there's like 8 store associates, hovering around you, and they're all very friendly. Don't get me wrong, but you feel the eyes of the others on you when you do luxury retail research, no doubt
absolutely.
about it.
Yeah. The first time I was in Chicago, I actually went to the Burberry flagship there because it had just opened recently. And
Great
that was the
store, by the
exact
way.
beautiful store. And
Yeah.
I, didn't buy anything, but I did tour the entire thing. They said people usually come in, start at the 5th floor and work their way down. And I said, sounds good. So I did that. And I had the attendant with me the entire time. He answered any questions that I had. There were definitely way more employees than there were people shopping. So yeah, it's not as low key as if I wanted to check out, the new Nike store or something like that. But
Right.
for good reason, because those locations are gorgeous and there's a lot of thought and detail that goes into them. So yeah, it makes perfect sense to me. But until I can get into one of those, again, James, tell me, what do you know about retail?
Well, now it's time for the second thing that we know about retail, and we're going down to Central America, specifically to El Salvador. It is the first country to adopt Bitcoin as a legal currency, and that started on Tuesday of this week. Their other currency, I didn't realize this until this week, their other currency is the US dollar, which they've had as their other official currency for quite some time. I think they adopted it for its stability. So if you're a citizen of El Salvador, you can sign up for the official e-wallet called Chivo. And just by signing up to incentivize people, you get $30 worth of Bitcoin in your wallet, which you can then go spend on whatever. They've got ATMs that you can feed dollars into, and it'll add, you can then convert that to Bitcoins and it'll add it to your wallet, and vice versa. If you've got Bitcoin on your wallet, on your device, you can convert it to dollars and the machine will feed you out dollars. So I was curious because I thought, okay, if it's an official tender, then retailers are going to all have to accept Bitcoin. And so far, they're not saying that. So far, retailers are being encouraged, but not required to accept Bitcoin. So why do you do something like this? They're saying it will attract foreign investment. It'll allow the country to be kind of a global hub for cryptocurrency development. And the president is also saying that it'll make financial services cheaper because, that you're cutting out the middleman. It's just all, ones and zeros.
For sure. James, can I ask you, how versed are you in the cryptocurrency space? Because all I really know is I know of Bitcoin. I could not tell you where to get it. I know that they mine it. I don't know how that works. I've heard of Ethereum. I've heard of Dogecoin, but I don't know too much about that. How versed are you? Do you have Bitcoin? Is it something you invested in?
No, I am not at all invested in Bitcoin, but I know how it works. I'm always interested in technology, and the concept of the blockchain I find fascinating because it is like decentralized. It is a currency which no government controls, which is its greatest advantage and also its greatest disadvantage because there's no oversight. I mean, you could, pay somebody ransom and there's no way to track that, so it encourages criminality, any illegal stuff being sold around the world is probably being paid and bought for with Bitcoin. So, the other thing too about Bitcoin is that mining is really data centers around the world crunching big math problems, and it sucks up tons of extra electricity that's totally unnecessary. So if like one country and another country start adopting Bitcoin, it's going to mean there's no way we're going to be able to meet our goals around global warming and reducing electricity use because it's just so energy and electricity intensive to do Bitcoin.
Interesting. Okay, because I've always heard that Bitcoin mining was bad for the environment, and in my head, that didn't make any sense because it's virtual. And I never, took it upon myself to actually research it. So thank you for explaining that to me because, I'm sure the electricity that's required to do this mining is probably, super extraneous.
There are, and there are other proposed and I think even existing types of cryptocurrency that don't use as much electricity. But anyway, I was curious, how's it actually going? Are retailers actually rolling it out? And it turns out at least some are. I was on Twitter Tuesday, they called it Bitcoin Day, where it rolled out. And one gentleman tweeted that he went to his local McDonald's and asked if he could pay in Bitcoin. And they printed out a QR code, which he scanned with his phone. And then that sent him to a web page where he could pay for his breakfast at McDonald's with Bitcoin from his wallet on his phone. And you can see there clearly it's not in the US because there's a side of beans, and I don't think you can get beans at McDonald's.
That's a very unique McDonald's breakfast if I've ever seen one.
So, as you could tell, for me, there's personal drawbacks to Bitcoin that I'm not a fan. Most Salvadorians are not a fan. 80% in the survey said they have no confidence in Bitcoin. It's really volatile. Like the day they adopted Bitcoin, it plummeted in value. And, the other thing too, is that you need to have the internet. And El Salvador is a relatively poor country. Most people don't have a data plan. They don't even have a smartphone, let alone a data plan or internet access. So in a way, it's like a currency for the rich, which is which is not a good thing.
Yeah, I think the rich have enough currency, if you
I
ask me.
know, right? They already have currency.
They
Come
have all the
on.
currencies. Yeah, here goes another one. Yeah, I definitely agree.
So you're not eBay. Do you have like, do any of your friends invest in Bitcoins at all? Have you heard any of that?
I mean, if they do, they don't talk to me about it.
Okay.
I'm not the friend to run that by, because I don't know too much about it. I've definitely heard people talking about it, and I've seen people, discussing it on social media and things like that. But no one that I know personally is like a real, like, Bitcoin person. Not yet, at least. Maybe we're all late. Maybe in the future. I just got Apple Pay, right? I just figured out how to do that, so I'm making my way into the digital currency space. If that's even Apple Pay even counts, it doesn't. But that's as much as I know about that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm a late adopter on some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, eBay, what else do you know about retail?
Well, James, here is the third thing that we know about retail. So, first of all, happy New York Fashion Week to you, right? It
Happy
is New York.
Fashion Week to you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm wearing my denim shirt today because I thought I would go a little edgy because it's Fashion Week. So it's Fashion Week here in New York, and things are obviously buzzing. There's fashion shows going on everywhere. A lot of different pop-up events, different parties, things like that. None of which I was invited to, but I heard that they're happening. So I'm sure they're gorgeous. And one thing that's happening that I think is really, really cool that I read about is with a clothing company called Revolve. So I don't know too much about Revolve. I don't know if you've heard about Revolve, James.
Not sure. Maybe I have. It sounds familiar.
Very familiar, but it's not for us. It's not targeted towards us necessarily, right? It's
Okay.
a women's clothing line based out of Los Angeles, online only, as far as I know. They might have a store in LA. I'm not totally positive, but they're a digitally native brand that targeted towards millennial and Gen Z women. And they actually made some pretty solid gains during the pandemic by capitalizing on their online presence. Obviously, physical stores being shut down didn't have any effect on them. Although I have to say, I'm surprised to hear that they grew so much. According to their releases, their net sales increased by 151% year over year, which I makes sense as far as it being an e-commerce company. But these clothes are not loungewear, which is what I think really took off during the pandemic when we were all at home. These are very much going out clothes, to the club, to dinner, to somewhere else. And we weren't doing a lot of that. So maybe a lot of women were buying some stuff in anticipation of when we could get back to the club. I'm not sure, but they definitely were doing really well. And so they're participating in New York Fashion Week for the first time this year by launching the Revolve Gallery, right? And they've described this on their website as an innovative multi-room fashion experience featuring a real-time shopping component, reimagining the front row experience while engaging with consumers in a new way, right? So real beautiful. Whoever does their marketing, I love how that sentence was written.
What does that actually mean, though?
I mean, it means a pop-up, James. It means that they're doing a pop-up, more or less, right? So they have a pop-up. There's a lot of pop-ups happening, obviously, a lot of brand activations, things like that happening during this week. But they're doing one at 20 Hudson Yards, which is actually, the same building as the shops and restaurants at Hudson Yards. I'm not positive if they're doing it in the retail portion. I know that building also has like office on top of it and a bunch of other, mixed use, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know exactly where it's happening, but it is a 17,000 square foot space that they have, right? Which is gigantic, right? So I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine that's any one of the stores that are there. Unless it's in the old Neiman Marcus, but we're not going to.
Yeah, it could be part of Neiman.
It could be part of Neiman's. Yeah, they definitely have the space. But there's going to be 13 designers that are selected to create collections exclusively for Revolve. And each of those designers is going to have their own room that they're going to transform in order to reflect the vision and the vibe of the collection that they have created. So some of those brands, there were a lot of them, obviously 13. I hadn't heard of most of them because, again, I'm not the target audience. But the ones I had heard of include Charlotte Tilbury, which I think is a makeup line, Bronx and Benko, For Love and Lemons, and House of Harlow, which is a upscale clothing line owned by Nicole Richie of the Simple Life fame. I don't know if you ever watched The Simple Life back in the day, James.
Did not watch it, but am aware of it. Yes,
I'm aware. Yeah, sure. That was I was happening when I was like a little bit younger, but I definitely remember seeing that. So familiar with her. And House of Harlow, for example, they are going to transform the room that they have into a mythical forest of natural beauty. right? So consumers, whatever that means. So consumers are encouraged to capture content and share it on their social media. And I think it's honestly really cool. Number one, the fact that all of these events are happening in person again. I actually pay somewhat close attention to the different fashion weeks in New York, Milan, Paris, London, and the different designers that present at those places. And obviously over the last, I'd say 3 seasons, all of those, for the most part, were happening online, right? So there would either be a runway show that happened with no audience, which is so eerie, right? It's like the Olympics, where
Yeah.
you expect some noise and some feedback, and there's nothing there. Or there would be virtual shows, which I thought were really, really cool, really creative, just a new, innovative way to showcase their collection. So I think it's awesome that these things are returning back into in person, and that we're getting more pop ups again, because of those definitely obviously died down throughout the pandemic. And I think it's reminiscent to me of experiences like, I don't know if you remember the Rose Mansion in New York City. Did you ever hear about that?
I'm not sure. What was that?
It was, I mean, essentially, it's just a space where you could drink rosé unlimited and walk around into different rooms and take cute pictures, right? They had like a bathtub full of flower petals. They had a
Yeah,
lot of
I'm
flower walls.
remembering this. Yeah.
Like I think there's been a lot of things like that. There's another one I can't remember, that was actually near. It was on Fifth Avenue, not far from our office. But Museum of Illusions, Museum of Ice Cream, those sorts
Yeah.
of like, I don't want to say gimmicky, but experiences like that are kind of, in those situations, more or less just centered around taking pictures. I think it's interesting that brands have latched onto that and are now using that not only as a touch point for consumers to learn more about the brand, but also as a literal place for them to shop. Right? There's a real emphasis on the consumers there being able to purchase the things that are there, and there is definitely an omni-channel aspect to all of it, because they can either purchase items on site that they find, or they can scan a QR code similar to what you just showed for El Salvador, that will take them to a link where they can purchase it online, have it delivered to their house, right? So I really love that the brands that are making an effort to stay right on the cutting edge of technology, of trends, and cultivating a real experience for their shoppers. So I think it's gonna be really, really cool. It's opening tomorrow and Saturday only from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I don't know. I might try to make my way down there to see what they're doing. Again, I don't think there will be anything there for me to buy, but we'll see. We'll definitely see.
You can take photos.
Yeah, absolutely. Take photos and share with
Yeah.
all of our listeners. So, but James, I mean, tell me, what time is it?
Oh, it's time for the retail challenge. That's
so?
right. The retail challenge, where we have 3 questions this week. Ebere, you're going to be our sole contestant on the retail challenge.
Which
Our
means I'm
sole
already the
in
winner. Thank
person.
you.
What's that?
I said that means I'm already the winner. So thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You may have already won. So if you get 2 out of 3 correct, that is, you'll win the retail challenge.
Okay.
And for our friends watching along, you can play along with us. Type your answers into the comments. If you're the first person to get it in the chat correctly, you'll win not only the eternal admiration of your peers, but the eternal admiration of Ebere and of James. And what is more valuable than that? So
A watch from Vacheron Constantine, maybe, but not really.
Yeah, you don't win that. Yeah. So we're going to be talking first. Okay, so this is a similar topic as to what we talked about. Signet Jewelers has been doing quite well through the pandemic. I mean, we talked about this trend. They own jewelry chains like Jared, Kay, Zales, and they did 225 million in profit in 2021. However, as Retail Dive reports, they are now predicting headwinds. The pandemic is going to be lifting, and people are going to be spending more on experiences and less on jewelry, which is not good for Signet Jewelers, although it's good for the rest of us. However, they predicted that would have already happened, but what they didn't expect was the Delta variant. So they've been doing well for longer than they expected. But, a few extra months of Delta, that might be a big deal to us. But for diamonds, that's just a drop in the bucket. That's because most natural diamonds are very old. They're formed by pressure hundreds of kilometers below the Earth's surface over long periods of time. So Ebere, How old are most diamonds? Are they
Mhm.
1 to 3.5 billion years old? Are they 1 to 3.5 million years old? Or do they turn 45 in November?
Hmm. Okay. I think. I mean, I got caught up because I was like, "Is James turning 45 in November?" But I think your birthday is in like May or something, or earlier in the year, not November. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna cross that
Well,
one out.
it's true that I'll explain. A joke's really funny if you have to explain it. Um, Honestly, Eber, I forget. I'm either 45 or 46. I'm going to have to check after this.
Mhm.
But that's the joke, is that, yes, it's very old.
Definitely, definitely. That's funny. I'll say 1 million to 3.5 million. I think I remember hearing that in some earth science class back in high school or something.
Okay, 1 million to 3.5 million. The
Mhm.
actual answer is 1
Whoa,
billion.
a
So
billion years old.
really old. They are really old.
Damn.
Which I guess is kind of why they're so expensive, is because they take so long to create.
Who is counting that? How old is the Earth? I mean, I have so many follow-up questions at this point.
Okay, total guess. There's a thing called carbon dating.
Uh-huh.
They're
Okay.
made out of carbon. Diamonds are made out of carbon, so
Uh-huh.
carbon dating would work really well in it. The
There we
show should be called Two Guys Who Vaguely Remember Things About Science, Talking About Them with
go.
Confidence.
Exactly. It's a much catchier title.
Okay, so
Okay,
after
I'm wrong.
one question, you have 0 points. So you're going to need to get both of these right to win today's game. So
And
our
I
next
will.
our
So let's
next
go.
question is about Hoka 1-1. Are you knowledgeable? Are you aware or a fan of this brand?
I can't say I've ever seen it before.
Okay, so this is a running shoe, Hoka 1-1. These are maximalist soles, so really
Mm,
thick soles. So these were kind of a big deal when they came out in 2009, because at that time, everybody was into like barefoot. Everybody who ran was into this
yeah.
concept of barefoot running. There's this book that had come out called Born to Run, about I think it was runners in Kenya who run long distances barefoot. And so
Mhm.
all of the running shoes at the time were like meant to mimic bare feet. Then Hoka 1-1 comes out and says, no, you want to cushion your feet. And so nowadays,
Sure.
that style that you see there is very similar to kind of all of the popular styles of running shoes. Hoka 1-1, they are opening up two pop-ups. They're a digital native brand, but they're going to be opening up two pop-ups, one in Flatiron, one in Melrose. Um, they're going to be open through December, so they're open for the holiday season.
Cool.
So running overall as a sport saw a huge increase in popularity because of COVID, because you don't need a gym, right? And
Definitely.
usually running outside, you didn't have to wear a mask if you could stay away from people. I know for me, it was a godsend because I could run in the country roads and, not have to worry about it. Um, there was actually a study from Nielsen where they studied 10 countries, and three of those countries were in the top, kind of like the top percentage of runners. What I'm saying is there were certain countries that had a really high percentage of runners in the population.
Hmm.
So which of these is the top three countries for runners? Is it Kenya, Mexico, and Colombia? Is it the UK, the US, and South Africa? Or is it Australia, France, and Japan?
Hmm. Let's see. I'm going to cross out the second one because I don't think it's the USA. I
Okay.
just don't. I don't feel like that's the case. Um, let's see. I mean, I'm trying to think of the terrain in these countries and if that has any impact on the ability to run long distances. I know Mexico. Well, let's see. I really don't know what they're doing in Australia at all, so I can't even really speak to that. I'm gonna go with Kenya, Mexico, and Colombia, mainly because of Kenya. I'm wondering where Ethiopia is on this, but I know that Mexico is high altitude, so that might make it easier for them to run, or harder to run, but easier in other places. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Kenya, Mexico, and Colombia.
I love the line. What did you say? Like Australia? I don't know what they're doing in
I
Australia.
think about that every day. I'm like, what on they're on the other side of the world. I have no idea what's going on over there. There's weird animals anyway.
You said Kenya Knoll, who's watching along on YouTube, said Kenya et al. As well. Let's see if you guys are right. It is. It's Kenya, Mexico, and Colombia. So, according to this survey, Kenya was by far the highest, with 59% of survey respondents saying they consider themselves to be runners. 59%. That's a lot. I
Yeah,
want to
that's a lot.
actually read a little bit more, because I want to know if that's 59% of people who say they exercise regularly or 59% of the general it can't be 59% of the population.
I mean, it could be. If you look at the Olympics, all the distance running events, it's always dominated by Kenyan men. You know, I feel like
Oh yeah.
Ethiopia also is up there as well. And I think Kenya, I'm pretty sure, I don't want to lie, but I think that's where Mount Kilimanjaro is, or it might be in Tanzania, but it's in that region. And so I think there's a little bit of altitude there as well, which is why they're so good at running elsewhere, because their lungs are, ironclad.
Ironclad Lungs.
I think
That's
so.
the name of my my next punk album, Ironclad Lungs.
Let's do it. Let me get a feature. That's all I ask.
All right, so now you've got 1 point. Awesome. So it's all down to this last question, Ebere. Everything is riding on this moment.
Okay.
And it's time to talk about Lululemon.
Love it.
So Lululemon net revenue grew by 61% in Q2. Athleisure was the apparel section that really grew during COVID.
Sure.
But Lulu, not unlike Signet, has got some headwinds coming, although theirs are a little different. Lulu, about a third of their sourcing comes from is manufactured in Vietnam, and Vietnam has been suffering some major pandemic shutdowns right now. So there's a little bit of a worry that they're not going to have everything on the shelves that people want to buy when the holidays come. But Lulu is diversifying, and one way they've been diversifying is into home exercise with the mirror technology. Are you familiar with this?
I am, but not with Lululemon. I thought it was like for trying on clothes and things like that.
So this is an exercise mirror that was launched a number of years ago, but Lulu purchased it in 2020, and it hangs on the wall. And if it's turned off, it's just a mirror, like it's just a regular old mirror on your wall. But if you turn it on, it has streaming content that has like exercise classes, and they can be pre-recorded or they can be live, similar to how Peloton works.
Got it.
And also not cheap. So the mirror itself costs $1,500, and then you have a $39 per month subscription for the content. So something that expensive, you kind of need to get people into it and show them how it works. So they're putting in little shop-in shops for mirrors in a bunch of Lululemon stores. They say there's going to be 200 mirror mini stores within Lululemon stores by Black Friday. So just in time for the holidays.
Oh, wow.
So Mirror found early exposure through celebrities who posted about their mirror purchases on social media. So people like Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, for example. On Christmas Day in 2018, there was one celebrity who posted a video of herself jumping up and down and screaming ecstatically as it was revealed that she was getting a mirror as a Christmas gift. Oh, shoot. I said she. I should have said they. Okay. Well, I'm helping you narrow it down. Was that celebrity Justin Bieber? His pronoun is she, by the way, now.
I mean,
Alicia Keys or Selena Gomez?
I have no idea. Alicia Keys is like a soulful R&B singer, so I feel like jumping up and down might not necessarily be her energy. She's a lot more calm, yoga and vibes. So I'll guess Selena Gomez.
All right, your guess is Selena Gomez. I'm going to play the video to find out who the answer is.
Watch it be Alicia.
It is Alicia Keys. And I think that's Swizz Beats behind her holding the drink. Oh no, the video is really not doing good on the playback. Let me try this again. It's worth seeing. Oh no, it's frozen up.
No. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
Oh man,
I was wrong anyway, so I don't even want to see it.
Yeah. Hold on one more time. Oh, is it? Are you able to see that?
It's like lagging, but I can see it.
Oh well.
Yeah.
It's the magic of live internet television.
There you go.
Google it. It's funny because she really does flip out. She's like running around the room,
Really?
jumping up and down, and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So Noel said either Alicia Keys or Justina Bieber. Right.
There you go.
Good call. Correct. So eBerry, I've got to say that you did a great try on this one. You did not win this week's retail challenge, so you've not won the esteem of your peers. You must hang your head in shame.
It's crazy how I lost to myself. I'm sure there's a lesson in there somewhere, but
right.
You want it, yeah. I'm my own biggest competitor, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some lessons we could learn if we really want to dig into it. But that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, hey, I wanted to tell you, our latest episode of Where We Buy has a bunch of cool stuff in it. We talk about the origins of KFC, the artist formerly known as Kentucky Fried Chicken. We talk about the great chicken wars between Popeyes and KFC of 2019, which seems like a million years ago.
Yeah.
But kind of the origination of that. We're talking to David Page, who's the author of a book called Food Americana, and that and a bunch of other topics. So totally worth a check out. Just look for Where We Buy on Spotify or, whatever podcast app you use, or you can check us out on wherewebuy.show.
Definitely. Also want to remind you to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and make sure you click on the little bell icon so that you're notified when new shows come out. Alternatively, you could also follow the JLL retail page on LinkedIn. And we post new episodes every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern at everythingweknow.show.
That is awesome. Thank you guys so much. I noticed here a little tidbit. Noel mentioned that the LinkedIn video quality is not good this week or last week. So he jumped over to YouTube. We do like to do it on LinkedIn because we've got just such a mass of people who are already on LinkedIn as like a part of their workday. So hopefully we can get those issues ironed out. But I guess I should ask you, eBerry, in the meantime, what else do you know about retail?
James, I'll tell you next week.